Hey guys, so this is all about the whistle sit. And here, Reg, this is Reggie. He's 16 months old and he's already learned all this when he was a puppy. So he's already trained, he knows all this stuff, but I'm just going to use him to demonstrate what it's like, okay? So first of all, of course, the first thing you do is teach the cue sit, the behavior sit. Okay, so break, sit, good. And then after your puppy has that down pat, you add the whistle cue to your sit cue. And the way you add a cue to a current behavior is you say the new cue first and you say the old cue second. The dog does the behavior and then you give a treat. So I'll demonstrate that. Break. Sit. Good. Good. Break. Sit. Good. And obviously Reggie already knows the whistle sit, but to add the whistle to your sit cue, you do the whistle first, the word sit second, they do the behavior, and then you treat. Good boy. And then as you've done repetitions of that, you can fade your word sit and just use your whistle. So if I do, I'm just going to do several reps so you can see what it's like. Break. Sit. Good. Break. Good. Sit. Good. Okay, now, so you do several repetitions of that so that the dog pairs the whistle with the cue and the behavior sit. Okay, so let's say we've done several repetitions of that. Break. Good. Then you can just fade the word sit and only use the whistle cue. Break. Good boy. Okay, so that's the first thing. You have to get your whistle cue. The second thing, I like to use a mat so that I can add some distance to it. So the first thing you do is you teach your dog to just get on the mat. So usually when you put the mat down, the dog's going to go investigate it and maybe get on it. I've got a whole video on how to do that too, but we'll just, real quick, it's just magnetizing the dog to the mat. They get on, good, and you give a treat. You break, throw a treat off the mat, they have to get back on. Good. Good boy, sit. I'll grab some more treats here. Okay, and then break. So then what you want is to build a sit onto the mat so that when they get on, they automatically know that they should sit to earn a treat. Sit. Good. Break. Good. Break. Good. Break. Okay, so now the mat is a target. They like to get on the mat and they know to sit when they get there. So now I can add distance between the mat and myself. Good. Good boy. Break. So now, good. So you want to break. You want to build an understanding that the dog gets back on the mat so that this goes smoothly. Break. Good. Break. Good. So this break. So this gets the dog comfortable with performing the behavior away from you. That way they don't feel like they have to come up to you to sit. So that's just the beginning stages. After you get that mastered, you'll take it outside, you'll take it to different rooms, and really master the dog's ability to just sit where they are when they hear the whistle. We've got our whistle sit cue, and we've got a little distance, we've got some understanding, and so now we'll move on to the other part, which is being able to send the dog for something such as food or a bumper or a bird. And so you've sent them, and being able to whistle stop them on the way there. Okay, so the first step in doing that is what Susan Garrett calls the It's Your Choice game. So what we're doing here is we're building self-control. We're telling the dog only take the food on cue. So the first step of that, we'll go through this real quick. Come here, buddy. First step is I have the treat in my hand. I've got it closed. He's going to sniff and paw. When he backs off, I open it. Good. Good boy. Good. So when you get to the point that you can have your hand open with the food in it, and the dog's just sitting there with his face right here, then you can give him the treat, and you've got that level mastered. Okay, now the second step to that is to have the food on the floor. Boy, Reg. Boy, Reg. So I've got the food. Sit. Good. I've got the food. Good. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, now I'm going to get him up off of his sit. Break. And then I'm going to put the food down. Sit. Break. Good. So you can use the sit word if you want to at first. But you need to master this level of having the food right on the floor. Good. And then I'll give him the food right to his face. So the next level is getting him up off of his sit. Break. Boy. Sit. Break. Good. So I toss a treat to get him up off of his sit. And then when he comes back, as he's still up and on all 4 feet, I toss another treat on the opposite side of my body. And as I'm tossing it, I cue him to sit, and I can do that with the word or the whistle. Break. Break. Good boy. Good boy. Break. Break. Hopefully you could see all that. So that's your next step. Boy. So now I'll do the opposite side. So break. Sit. Break. Good boy. Okay, so that's the next step. Now we'll graduate. So I got the bull. It's right here. There's the dog. And I'm in between, right? So I'm in the middle, and now I'm going to release him to the bowl. On his way over, I'll cue the sit. Break. Break. Good boy. Good boy, Reg. Good boy. And so that's your next step. But I want to put in a warning here that at this phase of the game, you need to do some repetitions of sending him to the bowl or to the food pile without stopping him in between. Otherwise, he's going to start to predict the sit cue and he's going to start popping, and we don't want that. So now I'm just going to do some freebies so you can see what that's like. Okay, so I got treats in the bowl. Okay, come here. Boy. Sit. Good. Break. Good boy. Good boy. You should almost do 2 of those freebies for every time you whistle sit. And that's going to make it harder, but it's necessary. Okay, buddy. Boy, sit. Break. Good boy. Boy, sit. Okay, now I'll show you the final product. Boy. Okay, Reggie. Break. Break. Good boy. Boy, Reg. So that's the inside layers of steps. And then, of course, you have to take this outside, and it's more distracting outside, so it might be more challenging. I recommend starting from scratch with the steps outside so that you can build up that understanding out there. Then once you have graduated from food, you can start using birds or bumpers. But the key is to make sure that the dog really loves the bumper because it won't work otherwise. So make sure you get love for the bumper first. And possibly, before you use bumpers or birds, I would recommend making sure you have the formal retrieve, which is the fetch, the hold, and the delivery to hand. Okay? Boy. So let me know if you have questions.